What it do, y'all? It's your girl Makeup and Travel, and for today's video your girl is here to bring you another video in my series where I show you guys multiple looks with one particular palette. Today's palette of choice is going to be the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette. This was one of the palettes that I picked up between the duo from Melt Cosmetics during the release week, or maybe the second week that they actually released this again, and then Gemini 2. I picked them up for a discounted price and I really wanted to slowly showcase you guys these palettes. So I am going to be showing you guys this palette. Like I said, this is the inside of it. I will of course on the screen put on there my still swatch that I put for Instagram. If you're wondering, this swatch shows two built-up swatches of this eyeshadow palette just so that you guys can see the actual shade on my complexion. I will be showing you guys in person more of a one swatch application in case you care to know that. But yeah, that's pretty much that. I'm gonna run through the information about this palette very quickly. I don't want this to be an extremely long video. So this palette comes with 18.8 grams or 0.66 ounces. There is a 12-month shelf life, and this is made in the USA. So this is not going to be the same formulation as their holiday palette, which was the Mariposa palette, which was made in Italy. So do keep in mind that it's going to be more of the same formula as the Gemini 2, which is something that I already did a 2 looks 1 palette, and if you're interested in that, I will have it linked down below. So this on my face right now is actually look number 1 in the event that you are interested. And without further ado, we are just going to go ahead and swatch. Do the swatches just like I did the last time, which is right on my arm in live. This is just the way that I can do it right now. I just don't have the time. So first we're going to go into the first shade, which is the lightest shade in this palette, and this is the shade Luna. This is just a cream brow bone highlight shade, not super pigmented, which works out if you're just using it for your brow. I could have used it today, but I just automatically remembered my Project Pan shadow, and that's kind of where I went. So I didn't use it, but I could have. Then we have the shade Gemini, which is the first of 2 metallics. I actually appreciate that they only put 2 metallics in this palette. Historically, I don't love Melt Cosmetics shimmers or their metallic formula, so I appreciate that they gave me more mattes, which is a formula I felt confident in picking up this palette, knowing that historically I enjoy their mattes. And I will say though, this is a very smooth metallic for them. It's not super chunky. I don't find it to be overly metallic, but for this brand it is quite smooth, and I think it will apply nicely. Then we have the shade Lorelei, and this is kind of a mid-tone, like khaki, if you will, or like a mustardy type shade. It's not full-on mustard, and I don't even think it shows up on the camera. So let me just swatch it again. Hopefully you guys can see it now. I can't see it in the viewfinder, but I also don't have my glasses on. So yeah, it's like a mid-tone khaki shade or a mustardy shade. I really love these types of shades. These are kind of go-tos for me. Really pretty shade. Then we have Polka Dot. And this is the first of the 2 kind of true browns, although this one I would say has a very strong yellow undertone to it, which is beautiful. I love a yellow undertoned brown. I think that they really are a beautiful shade, but I also think they just work really nicely on my skin tone. And I think you can actually see that one in my skin tone, so maybe even now you can see where the other one was swatched, which is good. Last brownie matte is the shade Cupcake, and this is only slightly deeper, but I think that the undertone is not as yellow. I would say this is leaning more neutral to cool when it comes to undertone, but it is a nice deepener shade. Now in the grand scheme of things on my complexion, I don't know how deep it's going to appear. I haven't done my second look yet, but I will look forward to kind of focusing on these shades tomorrow. But yeah, I look forward to seeing how deep this really appears on my complexion. Then to kind of add the most depth in this palette, we have the shade Bonnie, and that is kind of the main shadow in my look today. As you can see, this is a really nice black. I would say this is a true matte black. It's not overly pigmented, which is nice, but there is still a nice amount of pigment in this shade particularly. It may not swatch the blackest of blacks, but when it comes to a black, I think it's actually better for them to err on the side of caution than giving too much, because depending on the expertise of the person who's using the shadow, even me, I do kind of prefer a matte black that I can build up rather than a matte black that is overly pigmented, because I may kind of add too much and it may go downhill from there. Okay, then we have our first green, which is actually the darkest of the two matte greens, and this is the shade Leo. Now these greens are definitely more olive in tone. You definitely have more of a green undertone, very so matching my shirt today, which I love that. I didn't even do that on purpose. That's great. Really pretty shadow. Really like it. It is, like I said, a shadow that's on my eyes today. Then we have Goals. This is my inner corner highlight for today, and I think this is a really interesting green. It is an olive green shimmer with a really strong kind of gold shimmer throughout it. It's a typical kind of olive green shimmer. I feel it's not super unique, but it is a really nice shimmer, and I think between the two shimmers that are presented in this palette, they're actually really nice. I don't find that these are chunky when it comes to Melt, and Melt has had chunky shimmers, and they've also had shimmers that give you hard pan. I don't think that either of these shimmers, based on what I've seen so far, swatching and application, are going to actually give you that. Two more mattes left. First we have Fire OG, which is the lighter of the two greens, and if we're being honest, I don't see a huge difference between these two. I don't believe I used both of these shadows. No, I didn't use both of these shadows in my look today. I think it would have been better if they either did a drastically lighter green between the two, or maybe a different undertone where like one green was more neutral or one green was cooler tone and the other one was kind of more of this yellow undertone. I just find that they're both the same undertone and there's a very slight difference, and on somebody of my complexion, I'm probably not going to see that difference on the eye. And then the last shadow we have here is Mochi, which is kind of, I guess, their really light shade in this green half of the palette. It's really nice. I did use that in my look today to help blend out one of the other greens. And yeah, so overall, this is the palette. Let's come in close. So these are the shadows in the palette. I think that these are all really nice shadows. Nothing super surprising, nothing super, you know, extravagant or anything, but these are all really nice staple greens and browns. I think that this could truly be a kind of staple colorful lovers neutral palette, because it is really neutral, even though there is clearly color and even browns. I think the undertone of those browns make them unique and they make them more interesting than maybe some other subtler browns, and that's coming from somebody who's been really enjoying matte neutral undertoned browns lately. So that's really exciting to hear. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys now. Let's get into this look, which is look number 1, and then after that we will do look number 2, and then I will conclude this video. Hopefully that's going to be a short one, all telling you guys my thoughts after the first 2 looks that I have done with this palette. Let's get into it. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, I wanted to show you guys my first look, and I went very dark, very sultry. I even put on lashes, and I'm really excited to show you guys how I did it. I did prime with my Give Me Glow eyeshadow primer in outline. And let's get into it. I also used some of those Give Me Glow brushes again. So I'm going to go in with the G327, and I'm going to go into the shade Bonnie. And first I'm going to use this to purely just kind of set my lid. And as you can see, it is kind of more opaque and darker than that primer, which is really good. That shows the makings of a really good black eyeshadow, and it also didn't It wasn't like I had to build it up all that much. Okay, and so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the fluffy G415 brush. First, what I'm going to do is take the shade Leo, which is right next to Bonnie, and I'm just going to pack it on the edges of where Bonnie is. At first, I'm not going to blend. I just want to kind of pack her on, and this is going to kind of cover up the last parts of that black primer. And I did this because I really wanted this to be a dark look, and so having that black primer is really going to bring out the depth of Leo and make it appear even darker on my skin. And I know this looks really crazy, but what I did then is I took off the extra product on this brush and I started to just blend out the outer edge with just kind of a relatively clean brush. Then, just to make it even better, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into this shade Mochi, which is the lightest green in this palette, and this is going to be just applied with this same brush, and like I said, just at the very edges, just to make sure that that outer edge is blended nicely into my skin tone. And not too crazy. Okay, so this is what it's looking like so far. Then what I went in with is a flat brush. This is the Sonia G Smudger 2, and I'm gonna go into the shade Goals, which is the green shimmer in this kind of green area, and this is going to be my inner corner highlight. I did not add any additional primer or anything like that. I just applied this by its own. It did take me a little while to build it up, but that's no worries. Okay, and then just to kind of make sure that that green crease didn't go too high, I did go in with my Project Pan beige shade right under my brow bone. I didn't actually put anything there for it to really kind of adhere, so it's not going to be really stark, but I also just wanted to kind of use that to clean up that area, as well as like very subtly highlight that area. You see? So that's pretty much the look. All I need to do is my liners. So in my waterline, I used my Pastel Dream palette shade in Magic Mint from LA Girl. I'm just going to use my typical black liner in my tight line. I'm also going to put on my normal mascara, which is my Maybelline Sky High, and then I'm gonna put on my lashes, which is the Lilly lashes that I hauled from the Sephora VIP sale. So I'm gonna do all of that, and then I'll be back to show you guys the finished look. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. And yeah, like I said, this is the finished look. I'm just going to talk about the random things that may be kind of on Project Pan for you all. Just to reiterate, I used the Lilly lashes for Sephora collection in the style Miami. These are the ones that I hauled in my Sephora haul, and I will have that link down below in case you did not catch that. And then I also put on my cheeks again today the Clarity Cosmetics Honey Mustard blush. I wanted to give this baby one more shot before I kind of finalize my review. Like I said, for my primer today, I used the Give Me Glow eyeshadow primer and outline, and then as a base for my Project Pan highlighter today, I used the Peach Gasm shade from Charlotte Tilbury. That's it. I don't want this to be a long video. Let's get into look number 2. Hey guys, so I am filming this right when the sun is going down, so I'm going to try and make this tutorial quite quick, and it also is a quite short tutorial to begin with. So we're going to start with the Sigma Tapered Blending Brush, which is the E45. And as I said yesterday, I really wanted to see how deep the shade Cupcake is, so we're just going to go right in to her, and we're just going to pack her on that outer V. Now, if you find that you have a shadow that doesn't appear to be as dark as you want her, if you start off with the shadow first after, you know, you've laid down whatever primer you choose, 9 times out of 10 it's going to apply deeper. So just a quick kind of tidbit. Okay, and I didn't want to fully blend it with its own shadow, so then I went into the Morphe M535, and then I went into my favorite shade, which is Lorelei. You guys know I love those mustard tones, and I also just love Gilmore Girls, so I had to represent in my look today. And I am just going to really build this shadow up in the crease, and while I'm building that shadow up, I'm also going to just lightly blend out that outer edge of Cupcake all throughout this look. Alrighty, and then the last shadow from this palette that I'm going to use today is actually the shade Gemini, which is the beautiful kind of light gold shade, and I'm just going to use my finger to apply this right onto my lid. And I am just going to lightly blend this into the crease with my finger. And then for my inner corner highlight today, I am actually going to go into my highlighter with a Sonia G Builder 3, and I just want to add just a little bit of pizzazz right there in that inner corner. So okay, that is the look. All I need to do is hop off, put on some liner in my waterline and some mascara on my lashes, and I'll come back to talk to you guys about this palette. Alrighty, so this is the finished look. And just really quickly, if you saw some watering in my lower lash line on this eye, my allergies are just acting a fool right now. So that is that. In my waterline today is my LA Girl liner in Superbright. On my cheeks today, specifically for blush, I have a combination of the Clarity Cosmetics Rude Nude blush as the base, and then topped over it I have the shade Peach Glam from Charlotte Tilbury, and then just my Project Pan highlighter is on my cheekbones. On my lips I have Juvia's Place lip liner, and then on top of it I have my By Mario Mocha Glow lip plumping lip serum. So those are kind of all of the special items that are not Project Pan, just to let you guys know. So this was a very quick look. I was able to accomplish this very, very quickly, and overall I think I may have not played with maybe 1 or 2 shadows, but they were kind of the in-between shadows between like the lightest and darkest shade in each kind of respective color story. Other than like this cream, I didn't play with that at all either. What I will say when it comes to this palette is I think this formula is really, really nice. I really like the quantity of mattes, the shimmers, just because of the fact that I feel like if Melt does a few too many shimmers, sometimes they can get into trouble just not really perfecting that formula. But what I will say is I didn't have any problem with either of the 2 shimmers here, and I think that if they are able to keep this same formula and still increase the amount of shimmers, I wouldn't be mad to pick up the palette. Overall, really, really enjoying this. And yeah, I wouldn't say that either of the metallics are the formula that I truly, truly loved from the Mariposa palette, which came out during holiday, but these definitely aren't the same formula as like their 27 palette or their Smoke Show palette, which were chunky and hard pan. Neither of these seem to have presented any form of hard pan or anything like that from what I can tell right now. As you can see, these are only the first 2 looks though, so do wait for my palette roundup. I do have quite a few palettes that I need to kind of continue to test out in the background along with my project pans and stuff, so it may take me until maybe like the end of this month, if not early next month, to really give you guys an effective palette roundup. But I will be giving you guys an effective palette roundup, telling you guys the full-on final thoughts with each of the palettes that I've been showcasing the last couple of months. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope this was nice and sweet. I hope it wasn't too long, and I will see you guys for my next video, which will be Friday, which will be an update on my makeup project pan. So I will see you guys then. Bye guys.